Good morning. And we're live. What if I just ignore that like I have been doing? Huh. OBS is something else, man. Good thing this isn't my livelihood. Hayuck, hayuck. It's completely understandable. Frazzled, you have to understand. I don't have Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, none of that shit on my phone. I don't doom scroll no more. This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Shuffle in, find a seat next to a friend. Listen to war. What is it good for? A lot of people have been reaching out lately saying I haven't seen you in a while. So my views reflect that for the past 1 month, I have been getting um, suppressed on TikTok. Um, I basically, the last time I had a post get over 1,000 views was over a month ago. And I'm consistent in posting. I post every day. My, I like to think I'm not necessarily hunting to go viral. It's not the purpose of my content. Does that make sense? Like, I have a fucking day job. How many fucking lines of revenue do I need? Holy shit. I am not a capitalist. Do you see how much freer my life is? That I could just sit here with y'all and talk about the news and shit. This is that conversation that you wanted to have with somebody about what's going on in the world, what's going on in the news and shit. With someone that will not. You notice nobody's ever confronted me and been like, you've been sharing nonsense. Nobody's ever looking at my sources and saying you're using bad sources. That's part of being a journalist is knowing what to share, what not to share, right? So I'm bringing that. I like to think of it as a skill. I like to think what we're doing is relevant work here. And I appreciate you being along for the ride. For those of you that know, I've had a podcast for about 6 or 7 years, and they want you to have like intro music. And what I decided to do, instead of me force you to listen to music through however I'm able to get that to you, I'll just put a link in the chat. And if you want to go listen to Edwin Starr's War, that's what's currently playing in my headset. So, in case you were wondering, and we start the show every day with that. Okay. What is a good vibe? All right. First of all, I want to talk about first things first. This administration has allowed multiple people to die in a concentration camp in Guantanamo Bay, where they shipped 4,000 people. That's only supposed to house 500 people. And now people are dying due to a lack of water. Congratulations, Trump voters. Their death's on your hands. Enjoy. Oh, so my wife did it too. Oh, it was in just in Florida. Hmm. Just someone making an ass out of themselves in my comments. The IRS is bracing for a $500 billion drop in revenue as taxpayers skip filings in wake of Doge cuts at agency. Um, Good morning. Oh, even better, by the way. Somebody said that was in Florida. It's like even okay. It's in a detention center. Here's the link. Ukrainian man is third to die in ICE custody at Chrome Detention Center. Okay, where's this at? That doesn't, not one spot in there does it, in that whole article, did that person tell me where that is? It's in Miami, Florida. Okay. Okay. So my apologies saying fucking Gitmo. It's even worse than that. It's in the United States in Miami, Florida at Chrome Detention Center. Three people have died in custody from dehydration. That's on this administration and ICE, which is Palantir funded. Peter Thiel, who's losing their whole asshole, by the way. By the way, all these people are, you think it's, oh, look, you know what? I have absolutely zero tolerance for this. Zero. Zero tolerance. I don't give an absolute shit. What? Somebody said, I suspect it's a lie. Wrong answer. If I'm sitting here telling you in the top of a news show that people are dying in ICE custody from dehydration, and your response, your guttural response, what comes out of your fucking gullet as a result of receiving that input is I suspect it's a lie, you lack empathy. Not one part in anything that you said contained empathy for another human being at all, and that is the lowest form of respect you can give. The lowest. When you're unempathetic, it's unacceptable to me. And I won't have those people anywhere near my community. For those of you that are like, holy shit, TikTok chat is toxic as fuck, I recommend that you go up to my profile, click the link, go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can sit in that chat room. It's the same show. I'm just looking at you head on, and not from this shitty angle, from this cell phone cradle. Okay. Also, freedom of speech for me, but not for thee. continues, how predictable is this administration where Pam Bondi, is it Pam Bondi? Where did I just fucking shit out from? That was Pam Bondi, right? She's the AG, right? Yeah, Pam Bondi told Jasmine Crockett she won't want to tread lightly with her Elon Musk criticism. And what a wild time to be alive. First of all, I want a little PSA. I don't normally do PSAs. I just want to point out how much of a coward ass bitch all of the people calling for violence are. You coward. Instead of going out there and just doing the damn thing, you sit around and make content telling other people to do it. And that's because you're a coward ass bitch. Please forward this to Cliff Cash and basically anybody that follows him and anyone else that's creating content talking about committing acts of violence. You're a coward and a pussy. Grow a pair of balls and run for office. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled news show. So, y'all said you were going to prevent him from ever taking the office of presidency, and boy, what a letdown, huh? I just want to make sure while we're holding people accountable consistently, constantly, I want to make sure the white boys get it too. You know what I mean? All those larpers, all those people that are all pro Second Amendment, and the moment there's a tyrannical government threatening to raid the Treasury, to end Social Security, add what do they say, $4 trillion, $4 trillion to the deficit, and give billionaires all these tax breaks, give Elon Musk billions and billions of dollars. I invite you to join the resistance. There are many people that are like, I'm not leaving my house to go protest, but I'm on board otherwise. Okay, I can get with that. So here's what you do: delete Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, and Messenger from your phone. Stop using Meta tools stateside. And also, delete Twitter. Just get that shit off your phone. There are two really good resources. There's Reddit, and there are two really good subreddits. One's R50501, the other Protest Finder USA. I recommend protest, boycott, and strike. The nonviolent action has always had a greater impact. Okay? Nonviolent protest, boycott, and strike has always had a bigger impact. The people that bought this election and this administration and whose hands are all over all of this are losing their whole asshole because they are the CEO of publicly traded companies. And the stock market is an emotional tool. And if you think Elon Musk isn't losing sleep over losing his fucking asshole in the last 4 months, you're out of your mind. You are coping. He is clearly not handling this well. And I'm saying that about as nice as anyone's ever said anything about Elon Musk. Okay. there are a lot of other things that I could say that are actually worse. But TikTok uh, is now managed by the likes of Facebook, and so I have to think. Um, mhm. It's mostly white crowd. I wrestled from the time I was in kindergarten on, and it was mostly a white sport. So I'm not a Democrat, Bush. I'm the founder of the American Socialist Party. We're starting off slow and low and slow. So got us a Facebook group, I got us a TikTok or a Twitter account, and I got us a Blue Sky account. Now I'm taking it slow, sure thing. But most people don't know what socialism is. And so when I run into somebody that says that it's worse, I'm just going to take this time and talk about the fact that first of all, if you think Democrats are dying, then please talk to me about the Republican Party. That shit is falling the fuck apart. Y'all are a bunch of losing ass motherfuckers. If I ever seen some fucking losers, bro. The gerrymandering ass, fucking cheating in election ass, fucking traitor supporting ass motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Can't never criticize their own, bro. See, hey, you come in here and say a lot of fucking things. We come in here and the first thing you say is Democrats are a dying party and socialism's even worse. It's like, oh, so fascism it is, huh? Full blown communism it is, huh? That's what you need, huh? All that violence you out here recommending? Yeah. All that violence you're not committing? Cowards. I always think it's funny people talk all tough on the internet. Like you ain't shit. Well, you just sitting there talking. So, socialism is any egalitarian movement. So, egalitarian just means pro equality. So, as opposed to people that want to eliminate DEI initiatives, DEI, by the way, stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay. For the record, that includes veterans. So if you're against diversity, equity, and inclusion, you are anti-veteran. The best of us. You better fucking believe it 100% of the time. The best of us. If you are opposed to diversity, equity and inclusion, well, you have to. It has to be a nationwide attempt. You know, it has to be. There are only 565 public offices in the United States. Um, Number five, you go. Morning. Okay. But ultimately, you have to have candidates in every race. There's 565 seats of government. You have to come up with a plan. You have to have this is what we want to do with our time in office. You have to plan for the future of the place that you're trying to govern or mayor, right? Or whatever. You have to have a plan going in that is cogent, that flies in the face of what Democrats and Republicans will do, right? And when you think about what is socialism, we were talking about any egalitarian movement, any pro equality movement, okay? And I'm a syndicalist socialist. So that means that I'm pro union, okay? Now, I just happen to work from home. Otherwise, I would be a union member, okay? Far as I know, the closest I come is the mm, AADR, American Association of Debt Relief. I wonder if they have a union for that. But yeah, just so. Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, there's only 500 seats all government, right? And so if you define socialism as any pro people, pro equality, pro union, pro universal health care, education, income, and housing, right? By the people, for the people. That's what our tax money should do. Okay. Have you ever thought about the deaths of despair when it's separated from the... No, I never thought about seceding. Never thought about. What I had become is resigned. After 2016, I felt that way. You got to understand, there's a lot of people that weren't going through anything until now. And I've been suffering since 2016. Since I saw, from the moment I saw Donald Trump asked for the help of Russia on the debate stage with Hillary Clinton. From that moment, I was like, it took my soul out of my body. I was like, what the fuck? On national television, and everybody's just going to act like it's okay that our biggest enemy, Russia, that somebody running for president in the United States in 2016 asked for the help of Russia on the debate stage. Now, people want to talk about Bernie Sanders. Look, I voted for Bernie Sanders. Want to talk about how Bernie Sanders got fucked out of that nomination and how you'd have beat Donald Trump and shit. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. One of the things, here's what has happened. People have just accepted the results of an election straight no chaser. They're just like, yep, all the numbers that we were shown are just, that's just what they are. And for the record, I ascribe to people about certain subjects that are smarter than I am. And so when someone that's a data analyst, which is what I was going to school for, okay? So for the record, most people that work in data, that work in my field, are STEM teachers or data analysts within companies. And ultimately, I don't want any of those jobs. So, at the worst possible time, I was in my last year just doing the capstone courses. I only had like 10 classes left. I dropped out and have decided to go a different direction to finally get a bachelor's. Okay. Probably in political science, given that I'm founding a political party. But Stephen Spoonemore, who is a data analyst, looked at the data from, like 30 years of elections. And he said, so, to his surprise, as far as the education, I'm going to take about probably 6 months off. I just started a new job. I'm badass at it, but I have no time now that I'm back working full time. That's the problem with working full time and going to school full time. Okay, that's how it's hard to get. But I don't know that I necessarily need the degree as much as it would be like a want. Like if I want, I'll get a degree. I got a good job. But yeah. So where were we? Because I was pretty far into the weave there. Um, Stephen Spoonemore is a data analyst and he analyzed the data for like 30 years of elections. And he said, obviously there was fraud in '04, right, in overturn an election. Says '08 and '12 and 12 there's little interference, and in 16 there was voter fraud. Unfortunately, all the lawsuits um, There was notable interference in the 2016 election, and there was no known voter fraud in 2016. And Donald Trump was just shocked he fucking won. Okay. Um, and again, I just think you got to be realistic about that. A data analyst said there was interference, but there wasn't fraud, and Donald Trump won. And then in 2020, Stephen Spoonemore, I believe, is the one that said he ran up against a real political candidate in Joseph R. Biden and lost by 7 million votes. Like he got his ass kicked by a real politician, son, like somebody that people actually like. And there was obviously interference in the 2020 US election. And there was fraud. But here's the thing, the Biden administration did not pursue any claims to fraud. The Trump did on his way out, remember? January 6th. And tried to get places to find votes and all that shit. He was losing his mind fucking losing to Joe Biden. And I just want everyone to know he filed like 63 fucking lawsuits and he only won one, and he got 5,000 people's votes tossed out, or maybe it was 10, and all of them were actual legitimate votes. So like, great, Don, like you fucked a bunch of people out of their right to vote. Shit, he still lost by like 7 million. So he literally didn't find it. Um, Because they're fucking cowards, Angie. Think about this. I'm saying it with my full chest. There are content creator on content creator on content creator out there calling for acts of violence. They don't have a cogent plan. They're not getting together regularly and talking about what the ideas and plans and the path forward are, right? What are the Democrats doing? They're taking advantage of the districts that Republicans won't go to because they're scared to meet the public. That's what they're doing. Let me explain this to you. Did you know that there are three remaining special elections? Two of them are on April 1st in two districts in Florida. The Democratic candidates are Joshua Wheel and Gay Vallimont. And I literally cannot tell you who the Republican candidates are for those jobs. And again, it's 100% by choice. I have not gone out of my way to find out who those people are so I could disrespect them on my show. I have just not seen a single advertisement for those. Who are those people running against? And so I kind of have to think that the people running for office have a plan, and the people that I don't even know who the Republicans are running against, Gabe Alamont and Joshua Wheel. They haven't advertised it. They're not talking about it. It's not in the news because they don't care. And also, they expect to win. And again, my argument along the whole time has been, how the fuck are democracy for thee but not for me? How do we go help all these other countries with their fucking elections and not us? What? But not us? Okay? And understand, Donald Trump's losing his whole asshole. He's been in court like every day since he's been elected. There are like 130 fucking lawsuits against him right now. Most of his executive orders, probably like 80 and 90%, are going to be fucking ignored completely. They're not even, yes. And my thing, it's like the Democrats have no fight in them. And here's how I know. There are three special elections. Three. There are three. There's two on April 1st. There's another one in September. On September 25th, 2025, there is another special election. And I want to say rest in peace to Raul Grijalva, who died on March 13th. And you know what's fucking crazy about me saying that? That's the first time I've heard that man's voice. Heard that man's name. Sorry, voice. Fucked up. Um, that's the first time I've heard that person's name on like a politics. Like a show about politics. Like rest in peace, Raul Grijalva. He's from Arizona. Went to Sunnyside High School, University of Arizona, 1986. But anyway, there's a special election on September 23rd, 2025. Everyone in America, in the world, everyone in America know that the 2020 election was stolen from Republicans. Okay. Oh, Dawson. Who's this person? Block. Sorry, he's doing some maintenance. So, isn't that crazy? Not only, like, this is the timeline we live in. There are two special elections on April 1st. Why are we talking about that, guys? Because it's 1 week away. Gay Vallimont, Joshua Wheel, special election, April 1st. But also, there's a special election, September 23rd, 2025, because of the vacant seat left by the passing of, again, rest in fucking peace, Raul Grijalva. Right? So, hey, there's special election April 1st in Florida, two districts, Gay Vallimont, Joshua Wheel. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a socialist. I have to support them because they're the candidates whose names I fucking know. I could not even tell you who their opponents are. And that's because the Republican Party dies with Donald Trump. You heard me say it loud and fucking clear. They are a rudderless boat without Donald Trump. Right. Rosie O'Donnell's on international TV talking about how suspicious it is he won every single swing state when he couldn't fill a gymnasium and Kamala was filling up stadiums. Okay? And if you're a longtime watcher of my show, I've been talking about how serious I challenge the results of the 2024 US elections based on the first map we saw coming out of the election. Remember it? The one where it showed the map of the whole country and how the whole country shifted, right? Since January 6, 2021. And it was like, there's no fucking way. Like the Fed, Jack Smith said what happened on January 6, 2021 was an insurrection. Donald Trump participated in and sponsored and organized a fucking insurrection. By the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene organized January 6th. By the way. By the way. JD Vance wrote Project 2025 for the Heritage Foundation. in every state, here's the thing, every state has the right to challenge the results of its own elections. And while the recounts may have passed the audit, timelines have not. And I want to tell my audience, download the Five Calls app, contact your state representatives, and tell them every day I listen to a live podcast from someone studying data analytics at Purdue. His name is Jared Malat. He was in the Marine Corps Infantry too. I was an 0351. I was an assaultman. That's demolition and small rockets within the infantry. So I went to demolition school and I've basically shot it. If you could put it on your arm and shoot it, I did it. From the javelin, the small, the AT4. I drove a tow truck, which had a tow missile on it. But I also was trained to use like the 50 cal and the saw and the Mark 19, which is like the most glorious thing ever. It's a automatic grenade launcher. Pretty badass on an armored Humvee. Anyway, you see how like desensitized I am to that all? I'm a fucking gamer. I've been in stressful environments, competitive stressful environments my entire life. That's just the way my parents raised me. Even when I got out of the Marine Corps, my shoulder was all fucked up and I didn't need to be doing a bunch of physical activity. I found Magic the Gathering. Why? Because it's competitive as fuck. There is a competitive, or was, maybe there still is, a competitive aspect to it. I played Magic the Gathering competitively for over a decade. Sold off my collection to stave off um, losing my house when times got tough. Hmm. The name of the app is Five Calls. But what you can do is you can use the Five Calls app to call your state representatives and tell them you want an audit. I want a full audit for the 2024 U.S. election. And you can do that as a person, as a regular citizen. You don't need to be anything. You don't need to be anything. I can tell you from somebody that math has never been a problem for me at all. Also, my eyes did not fucking deceive me, and my ears did not fucking deceive me. Okay? Record early voting, record mail in voting, record voter turnout. Where are all the votes? They're saying right now it's something like 4.5 million votes. And also, Jack Smith said he absolutely sponsored and participated and cheered on an insurrection on January 6, 2021. And they said the reason they didn't um, make him ineligible is because he won the election. And it's like he did what? And I have to think that the powers that be, that there are just bigger things on the table. I have to believe that. Why? It's a national security risk, and the U.S. military is one of the most powerful entities in the world. And I'm a oath keeper, right? I signed an oath, for the record, U.S. citizens, the people who become U.S. citizens that take a citizenship test, they also have to take the citizen oath. I will protect this country against all threats, foreign and domestic, right? Oh, Angie, because we elected officials are not superheroes, they're also not police officers, and the Department of Justice is partisan, and it's not supposed to be partisan. And when you've never had head of the FBI be a registered Democrat, it shows you that the Department of Justice is partisan. And there's a reason I'm wearing Marine Corps um, gear, and that you don't see me supporting law enforcement. Law enforcement's the only job in the world where you get qualified immunity and you don't have to have a degree. I think that that was a terrible mistake. To there's a difference between property protectors, guardians of the wealthy. But yeah, there it feels like something's missing. And you know that I actually thought Kamala Harris was the candidate, the correct candidate for the time frame. I felt like what the Democrats did was savvy. I felt like I felt like they rope a dope the fuck out of the Trump administration. They led with Joe Biden, and Donald Trump was dead in the water, kids. He was not beating Joe Biden. I'm telling you. Joe Biden people liked he was doing good. Yes, he's a little old. But fuck, look at Donnie. Literal dementia Don, right? And they waited until they probably spent a ton of money shitting on Joe Biden and then dropped Kamala Harris is going to be the candidate. Why? Again, I'm pointing to the data. The data came out that Donald Trump does not do well with educated women. And what did the Democratic Party do? They went out and got the woman that has worked at every level of government, that was a prosecutor. She represents the lawful good, right? Donald Trump would be unlawful and evil. Okay. Yes. So the most experienced political candidate in history was a prosecutor, literally prosecuted people for securities fraud, right? And to think that, I've seen some information that says that she lost by a combined 150,000 votes, and that 4.5 million votes in the 2024 U.S. election are in limbo. Yeah, literally, literally, if Donald Trump was just gonna lame out against Joe Biden, and once he found out Kamala Harris was the candidate, it reinvigorated him. It kept him going. Because again, he does not do well with educated women, and they put a educated woman up against him, and he melted the fuck down, and he had to get outside help. And if you think the billionaires will do whatever it takes to keep their fucking money, fuck everybody else, that's how they got there. That's how they got there. And I just want to point out that almost all of Donald Trump's firings have been determined to be illegal, and all those people are getting their jobs back with back pay. So ultimately, hey, I know that it's a stressful fucking time to be alive. But know that most of what he's doing is disrupting people's day to day and inconveniencing and scaring people for no reason and making people have to reconsider their living situation. I can't imagine. Can you imagine having being a temp somewhere, one of these agencies, being in the first 90 days and getting canned? What if you bought a house? You moved your family across the country for this job. Yeah. And I have to believe there's a reason that I wake up every day and I'm not over encumbered by all of this stress. One, it's because I didn't vote for this. In fact, it cost me everything. I I I I often think about how my phone doesn't ring. I often think about that. How no one calls my phone. I always have to reach out to other people. It's okay. I'm resigned to it. Um, yeah. And there's way too many people that are speaking about the 2024 US election as if the results are just the results. And they make a lot of generalizations that aren't even actually true, much less generally true. Let's break a few of those down. First of all, when someone says half of the country voted for this, no, they fucking did not. Allegedly, about 78 million people did. There are 335 million people in the United States. Okay? So, hey, just so everybody knows, okay? 78 million divided by 335. 23.3%. So about one less than one out of every four people, okay? One out of every four people, less than one out of every four people voted for this man. And I think he cheated by a whole bunch. I don't think it's just a few million votes. I don't think he was that popular. Let me explain why. Let me explain why. A social media firm did an audit of Donald Trump and Elon Musk going into the election and found that 90% of their followings were fake. They weren't even as popular as they thought they were. They bought their following. 90% of their following is fake. And so if you ask me, that 78 million number is high. And I would just say, hey, let's say 10% of those aren't real or are fraudulent. 10%. Okay. What's 10% of 78 million? 7.8 million. Okay. So now we're talking about 70 million out of 335 million. So let's say 70 million is more like 21%, or more like one out of every five people. And tell me, with the number of people that didn't vote, that can't I can't call myself a Democrat or a Republican who are not persuaded to vote. And they're, in fact, they're actively dissuaded from voting. I think a big thing that dissuaded people from voting was bomb threats. We were lied to. We were told that there were 83, mostly in black polling places. Nobody said anything. But it turns out there were actually more than 200, and they weren't just focused on black polling places, majority black polling places. They were focused on places with large white affluent populations within predominantly black polling locations. Their purpose was to chill voters, which, for the record, in many parts of the federal government, we found that term, chilling voters, turning people off of voting that are committed to vote. Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, a lot of people are making content saying most of America voted for this, and it's like, no, they didn't. One, you're accepting the results of that election and the numbers that come from it at face value, and you're not willing to accept that a man who has lied and cheated his whole life came up against, oh, we're being actively suppressed. Make sure you like this, share this, make sure you join the conversation, join that, enjoy that you have someone that shows up every day, good attitude, is able to just kind of talk about what's going on in the world. Yeah, just be glad it's small. I'm actually I relish these times as someone that has been doing this a while. This kind of stuff. This ain't my first fucking rodeo. I remember when there was only 3 people there. I remember it a great deal. I remember the days when it was 600 and so big TikTok couldn't handle it, right? Not in his own administration. Yeah, that's Zeke. Well, one of the things that we found out, right? By the way, free Palestine. Okay, one of the things we found out is Chuck Schumer's quoted to saying, "It's my job to keep the left pro-Israel." Yes, cute winter boots, for sure. Okay, I am not pro-Israel. Okay, fuck a Zionist. My best friend when I was a little kid was a Jewish boy. His name was Patrick Von Esch. Jewish people are not a monolith. Just because someone's Jewish does not mean they're pro-Israel. I learned that from his parents, who weren't any different, and they asked me what I thought when I was at their house. What is it like hanging out with Jewish parents? The same? What the fuck? Hey, it's nauseous ambiance. That shit cracks me up. That's like puts a smile on my face every time I see it. Shit's funny. There are 20 people on TikTok, 25. on YouTube. And so I tell you, TikTok and I do have a toxic relationship. Uh, I would recommend you go up and then my profile, make sure that you subscribe or follow or whatever. And then also, you might want to click my links and go to my YouTube channel. You might like sitting in that chat room better. You never know. You can actually click the links I post for the news stories that we talk about. Here's uh here's why the AP got banned. Donald Trump cannot take criticism. His administration is immune to criticism, apparently. And you can have your First Amendment as long as you don't aim it at them. It's great here. Okay, and the next big protest is April 5th. Okay. And they're gonna get together at Camp Crone in Miami. But yeah, every day we share this calendar so that you've got a calendar of how this works out. Okay, as we've been saying, boycott Amazon, Nestle, Walmart, Target, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, Airbnb, Home Depot, U-Haul, and Planet Fitness. I recommend you go to goodsuniteus.com. You can also download the app GUU. Okay. And again, these aren't ads. Yeah, I think that they try to make every protest into we need more people. People have to go to DC. Um, People would be taking a big financial risk. Could get arrested out of town. When we say we need people to all meet up in one place in the United States, that's just not feasible. We need people to go to their state house. We need massive protest outside the offices of elected officials who are not doing their duty. And we got to stop saying that's not possible in the United States, which has like I could think of five different cities that should be countries in the United States: LA, Dallas, Atlanta, fucking New York City, right? And tell me when I'm wrong. Tell me when this kid does not miss. Chicago. There's five. Those places could just be countries. So we got to stop saying like everybody's got to go to DC when it's like you're asking people to fly across state lines, protest, and fly back. And I'm just asking you how that works against this regime. Protest where you might get bailed out from. How about that for guidance? Instead of saying like everybody should go to one place. This isn't Bosnia, goofy. In some of these countries where you see these massive ass protests, that's a small country. When 10% of that country or 200,000 people is all on the same block, fuck yeah, it looks like a protest. But we've got 20 cities in the United States with bigger than a million pop. Is that correct? There's like 20 or 30. And it's like, no, we just need bigger protests. This is the problem. People have decision paralysis. There's too much to going on. And people are concerned about their safety. So it's just difficult for me to support that. I want people to protest where you're otherwise safe, where you are expected to be able to join. I can't expect to travel out of state and go to a protest. I don't know the rules there. Of course, and the mainstream media is failing us. So what am I left to do? What makes sense? Mass organized protest. So you can make plans, it's ahead of time, it's in your home, it's in your hometown, it's in your state capital, that's your state house. There are pop-up protests in big states. All I've seen protests all the fuck over Florida. And you think about Florida is a fucking nut house, but hey, they protest their asses off. So again, I just want to talk about feasibility, and that when we sit around and tell people to be violent, and we sit around and we tell people to go here, protest there, and we need as many people in Washington D.C. as we can. Okay, well, what if they're on recess? What if all them people that you're going to protest ain't in town, and you flew out of state to go to that? Idiot, right? Protest their home office. The one thing that all of these elected officials have in common is they have an office in their state. Should be standing the fuck outside it. No. People keep asking, can a Supreme not I mean this regime ain't gonna take it away from him. And he only has immunity for official acts. The idea the president is not culpable doesn't mean that they're not gonna be hesitant to charge him. Remember what I told you. Executive orders and presidential orders are akin to a note on a napkin. The same reason Donald Trump um, wasn't declared ineligible, or no, would they didn't pursue charges on Donald Trump while he was an elected official, is because of a memo, a piece of paper. Democracy is only as good as it holds. So far, it's holding. It just doesn't look pretty. The thing about it is, again, the art of war. Sun Tzu. Never interrupt your opponent while they're making a mistake. And every day Donald Trump wakes up and starts fucking up. Like, can you name one thing Donald Trump's done in his 2 terms in office that was a net positive? I'll wait. Is there a single thing that he's done that's how far is too far? When people start dying is when things are gonna change. I mean, something that I mean, think about this. We aren't talking about this. The media is not talking about this. Okay? Former U.S. Attorney for Eastern District of Virginia, Jessica Aber, found dead, 43 years old. Okay? Now, most people say, "Hey man, people die all the time." Who's Jessica Aber? Well, my friend, that's a good question, and here's what you're gonna have to understand. Jessica Aber um, was nominated to be U.S. Attorney by former President Joe Biden and unanimously confirmed by the Senate in 2021. She resigned when Donald Trump took office. Okay, and what do you think? What do you think and putting them in concentration camps, putting them in spaces that weren't meant to hold that large amount of people? Huh. Keep in mind, if you voted for that, it's on you. All those people that are being illegally deported and put in concentration camps and starved and dehydrated to death, that's on you. But my question would be, how come? Oh, 100% we're being suppressed like a motherfucker. What did Jessica Aber do from 2021 on? Does anybody know? I'm gonna keep asking it. What did she was only 43. She'd be in pretty good health. She didn't have cancer. She was she was she's a U.S. District Attorney. She's like super smart. Oh, she was investigating the Russians. What? Did she fall out of a window? That's super suspicious. She was investigating the Russians. You don't say. Anyway, so I thought that you guys might want to talk about that. So, the former U.S. attorney. That's so weird. I posted a link in the chat. That's so weird. And also, 12 days ago, Raul Rejalba died. May he rest in peace. There's a special election to replace him on September 23rd, 2025. My question for you is, who's the candidate? Start the timer now. There are no registered candidates. Oh, well, that was quick. 43. Here's from Newsweek. Jessica Aber, found dead at the age of 43 by Virginia authorities on Saturday, was at the helm of high-profile investigations into intelligence leaks, allegations of war crimes, and Russia against Russian-linked individuals and people suspected of providing sensitive U.S. technology to Moscow. How old was Raul? He was 77 years old. So age like fine wine, but yeah. By the way, they're going to steal Social Security, okay? And they're having trouble finding fraud within the Social Security system, and this is because it's your money that you've paid out as part of your taxes for every paycheck you've ever gotten in the United States. And let me explain this to you. That's nobody's getting rich on this, kids. There's not a single person out here. I have been working in basically healthcare and finance on the phone, handling people's personal private information for decade. Nobody is getting rich on Social Security. Listen to what I'm saying. Nobody's getting rich on their Social Security. The most I have ever seen is a little over 2 grand a month. I've seen as little as like 500 bucks. Okay. The same thing for Medicare, Medicaid. People think these people are living high off the hog. Brother, people are generally earning less than like $1,600 a month to qualify for that. And then they might get a couple $100 from their healthcare company on a Visa card to buy some groceries and shit at CVS and maybe pay a cable bill or something. It ain't that deep. Again, people are not getting rich off of these systems. And the thing about it is, it's because life costs have doubled. I'm telling you, 20 years ago, when I was in college, I could live on a couple $1,000s a month. A couple $1,000s a month nowadays, it gets you to the 15th. Money don't spend like it used to, son. But one of the things that you've got to decide to do is you've got to decide where you are and where you are not going to spend your money. And so there are people that are like, I am nowhere near being able to protest and I want to start there. If you're not going to leave your house, get rid of Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Twitter, but most importantly, get fucking Messenger off of your phone. Start there. Stop doom scrolling. Time to do something. You know, when I sit here every day and I talk to y'all is a reminder to me to not just sit around and doom scroll all day. Don't let this consume you. Control what you can control. Get 8 hours of sleep a night. You probably just need a fucking nap. Drink water. Eat right. Exercise. And hey, if you ever feel yourself plateauing, where you're not getting stronger or faster, split your workout. Do your lift in the morning and your walk run in the evening. You'll hit higher highs. You'll actually become that athlete that you were wondering about. But most of it is rest, sleep. 8 hours. Did you know that when you're asleep, it's the only time your body ever secretes HGH, human growth hormone, the shit that makes you tall and strong? There's a reason I'm championing for universal income. The city of Denver did a program where they gave 500 families $500 every Friday for 2 years. And at the end of that 2 year period, they looked at all the data, and 42% of households, so 500 households, 42% of them in a 2 year period got married, had kids, bought a house, got a degree. The four signs of a healthy economy. So think about what that money represents. For most people, 42% is a fucking ton. That's a lot. That's a high percentage. When you're thinking about of 500 households that got $500 every Friday for 2 years, 42% of them. That's like 200 plus households. Bookshelves, we just went over that. We just talked about at length Jessica Aber's death and about how she was investigating Russian the Russians stealing classified U.S. information and giving it to Moscow. Awful suspicious. And it's awful suspicious that there's like only 14 people in here. So if you would please uh like this. Yeah, not even seeing any chats. Yeah, we've been we've been getting suppressed by TikTok since Facebook got involved. That we've had this thing banned, typically get restricted, but now it seems it sounds like for a month we kind of got. I mean, I'm not bragging. I'm not bragging. Yeah, I'm bragging. I was going viral all the time. You look backwards. I regularly was hitting like 20, 50, 100K on shit. And since I made a video about Cash Patel and it got 1,000 views, and I hadn't had a video hit 1,000 views since then. What do you think about thinking about me saying that this administration's FBI led by Cash Patel suppressing me for a month? But apparently the gloves are off because now I can back on live. My videos views are up. And again, I don't necessarily care about that shit. But I do have to be kind of willing and able to talk about it, right? It's not certainly not what I focus on. I try to focus on getting in here every day. Um, hmm. Most of his cabinet members have been quiet. I'm sure that they've all been sat down and they know. They probably are living in um, a constant state of paranoia, thinking that they're going to get busted at any time. They have to literally think about what Donald Trump's cabinet has to be doing. I mean, Pete Hegseth is doing dick all. Did you see what Hegseth did? Hegseth, who's SecDef, wants to make the punishments for getting a DUI the same, whether you're a non-rate or an NCO or an officer. First of all, for the record, they're not even supposed to be partying together. Just so everyone's clear. Officer and enlisted, and specifically NCOs and non-NCOs, they should never be drinking together. Are there instances when it's like okay? I can't really think of any. Although I will tell you, I was really good friends with my staff sergeant, who was our platoon commander. I followed him around like a little lemming because he was a bad motherfucker. Okay. Yeah. I mean, he has to give them immunity. You know what I mean? And remember, you don't want to preemptively give someone immunity. But what I've seen is them do nothing. Like them do largely nothing. Remember that I told you executive orders and presidential orders are akin to a note on a napkin. Like, sure, Don. And for the record, I think him saying something about auto pen is a tell as well. And he signed a bunch of these executive orders by auto pen, and that's his excuse for losing because he's a fucking loser. Got hangnail. Sorry. But yeah, I thought this was awesome, by the way. So in the protests, it looks like people from Detroit and people from Canada were protesting across the water from each other. Sort of the too big to fail, fail upward, fail forward type shit. And for everybody wondering, like I'm not gonna submit and stop paying federal taxes. I expect to make enough money to where it matters. Um, I don't want to put myself in a financial position I can't get out of. Just being honest. I'd love to participate or just hide the money and shit like that. Yeah, Angie, it is awesome that they're protesting together. But yeah, I want you all to know that I value you being here. It's important that we're here every day, and we talk about whether or not this leaked audio of JD Vance talking about Elon Musk is real or not. And we say, first of all, again, I want to point out the leopard eating the leopards that eat faces party absolutely eats leopard face. And so if you are wondering whether or not I believe that fucking JD Vance is talking helly shit on Elon Musk, yeah, yeah, I do. Do I think that a lot of people are very intimidated by Elon Musk? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Do I think that there's absolutely not a single person on the earth that should ever be humiliated or not humiliated, but intimidated by JD Vance? Is no one should be intimidated by JD Vance. And I think that if that's how I perceive it, what do you think other people perceive JD Vance as? Exactly. I seen some cute pictures of JD Vance where he looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid, and that's hilarious. So no, I'm not surprised that he and Elon Musk are headed for an eventual tilt. Uh, Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Um, None of these people are good leaders that are fit for leadership. So Elon Musk, JD Vance, okay, Donald Trump, they're not good leaders. They're not suited for leadership. Okay. Yeah. Again, Tate, I believe, was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I was just like, "This is the cockiest human being I've ever seen in my life." I thought that like JD Vance and his friends were like cocky fucks. Nope. Um, and then of course once you learn about uh Andrew Tate and his brother, I mean, they're rapists and sex traffickers, right? Grapists. I got that out of the TikTok shop. TikTok shop, TikTok shop. It was a story I heard. Nail Tech Hubian. Hello, sir. Reception to your live. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you for the kind message. You're welcome. It never ends. I encourage you to watch my last TikTok video that I made this morning. It's on YouTube and TikTok. I have a standing rule, personally, that anytime someone finds out that I was in the Marine Corps infantry during a time of war, and finds out that I deployed, and the first question they ask, did you catch bodies? Did you kill anyone? Or did you see combat? That's the first question you ask. I'm going to tell you about my time on active duty and make you really sad. I'm going to make you be empathetic. Hmm. And that's what I think that video does. It forces you to be empathetic because your brain, your little rat brain, in the beginning, it kind of wants to not be empathetic because I know how your little rat brain works. But once I tell you, question being sensitive or rude. Well, 1.5% of all of the people that have ever served have seen combat, first of all. So they call them, you know, 1.5% of all of the people that have ever served have seen combat. So it's so unlikely that if that's the first thing, I mean, I'll put it like this. Great question, by the way. Do you find that to be insensitive or rude? Yes. I just want to point this out. I uh I worked at a place for 5 years, helping people get ADT home security installed in their new homes and in their apartments and stuff. And this guy gets hired in, and he reminded me of myself when I was much younger. Fresh out of the military, he was a helicopter pilot. I think he was from one of the smaller towns in Indiana, so he like moved his family to Indy. Um, and he asked me in front of an office full of people, he asked me why I joined the Marine Corps. And before I could answer, he said, the only reason why you join the Marine Corps is because you're bloodthirsty or you're crazy. And I thought, what a fucking prick. Uh, I guess I'm just crazy, dog. Like, what the fuck? For the record, his wife cheated on him and left him because he was a pompous fucking prick and he deserved it. Amen. And his new wife is like one of those fake pretty bitches. You know what I'm saying? Where you replace your wife with a fucking downgrade. Anyway, 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 anyway. So, and the thing about it is, if I'm honest with myself, uh, when you think about what happened before I joined the Marine Corps, you know why I was full of fucking rage. I went to college to be a pilot and an air traffic controller. That was my backup, my plan and my backup plan. Top Gun is like my favorite movie. Top Gun 2 would be great, but I think they fucked up the ending. They fucked up the ending, and I think their music choice in the second film was subpar. and otherwise it would be the second best military film ever. In fact, I would argue that movie's better if you turn the volume off. In fact, it just don't listen to any of it. It's fine. It's a fine watch. Um, but yeah, here's what I've learned. Okay, at the heart of it, at the heart of it all, there are Marines and there are people that really wanted to be a Marine. Good to go. And I've felt it, I've smelt it my whole life. There are two kinds of people. There are people that are fucking Marines, and everyone else just wanted to be a Marine and landed somewhere else. And when my favorite thing to do is when a veteran gets cocky and they don't know, is for me to step in and say, "Hey, partner, he's getting a little cocky there. I just letting you know I was in the Marine Corps infantry. As far as I'm concerned, if you ain't, you're a wannabe. It's just real talk. I met an awful lot of people. One of the things I'll say, again, I'm speaking to a very small percentage of people. I've met a lot of veterans that'll start their conversation talking about their time on active duty with shit like, I took this job to avoid the front line, so I didn't have to go to war. So I didn't have to actually fight for my country. Nailtech Huvian says, yesterday I went to the Abe Lincoln National Cemetery to visit my dad's Columbarium crypt. He was in the army during Vietnam and was actually in the same troop as Elvis Presley. Interesting. Interesting. Top Gun, the original Top Gun is choreography away from being a musical. It is completely supported by its soundtrack, which is fan fucking tastic. And ultimately, the film itself is harder for me to watch as I get older, obviously because of my situation, which is why I ask people to watch the video that I just made. And like I said, anytime somebody asks me, did you kill anyone while you're in active duty? Did you see combat? We're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about RJ Rady. That's what we're gonna do. Okay. And if everybody ever wonders, how is this wonderful human being have all this fucking energy, given all that's going on in the world and all that you've been through? How do you find the will? What drives you? RJ Rady. For sure. RJ Rady drives me every day. I think about what, for example, I interviewed to be a head coach at the high school level, right? And so I think about a lot the impact that you have on the kids that you coach, right? And I want them to go do great things. RJ Rady, right? And I'm always thinking about how can I uh, fix what happened? How can I force people to acknowledge what happened? But I'm going to use every opportunity I get whenever I notice that there's a crowd to say, listen, no matter what happens and what's going on in the world, you got to control what you can control. You got to get 8 hours of sleep a day, take a nap if you need one, drink water, eat right, exercise. And hey, listen to Eat the Rich. Get out of here. And for the record, I've met a whole bunch of people that serve their country since I've been home, and you really don't want me talking about other branches. Good to go. Like you don't want me talking shit about other branches, because I'll talk some shit. Love y'all. USMC 3-3. We're fine. I was in 2-2, and then I was also in the 8th Marine Regiment Headquarters Company with Brian Stan. So if anybody knows or remembers Brian Stan, I was standing in the formation looking at him when he got pinned captain. Um, if I remember, he was a 3-6 Marine. Um, got a Silver Star. Fought in the UFC. He while I was on active duty, he beat Steve Cantwell twice. I was ringside, like standing right there. And then he fought in the UFC. He beat Michael Bisping. He commentated. I think he's a realtor and retired now. Lives outside Chicago. Um, but he was the CEO of Headquarters Company, 8th Marine Regiment. I drove him to the boxing gym.